Welcome back to Y&R For Life, where we talk about all things Y&R related. We talk about what's going on, what my predictions are, what do I think is going to happen. Hey, we even talk about fashion on the show because I'm a big time fashion girl, so we got to spill the tea about that from time to time. If you're new to this channel, my question is, what took you so long to get here? And if you are returning, what's up? Long time no see. You know, I wanted to go all casual this week because this week had me almost annoyed. And I'm going to tell you why a little later on. But it really had me annoyed. But we're going to get into that. Few disclaimers. If you don't want to know what's going on, you kind of want to get caught up on your own, this might not be what you want to see or hear, but I am so grateful that you are here. And if I happen to not mention something, it could be I plumb forgot or it just wasn't newsworthy, so I didn't bother mentioning it. Nature of the beast, I like to say, it is what it is. But you're going to get the gist of what actually happened throughout the week. We'll have some fun, maybe some laughs, that kind of thing. My little angry moments that just annoyed me. But again, we'll talk about it. And lastly, if you like this type of content, you like what you see, you like what you hear, it would be so kind if you hit that like and subscribe button and hit that bell notification so that you don't miss a single video that I post here on Y&R For Life. So as usual, we're going to talk about the different characters, things that happened, and let's see if we can get through this, because I'm going to ask if you were annoyed throughout this week like how I was. But okay. So, beginning of the week, we basically let's talk about the Newman clan, because like I said, I think it was either in the last video or the video before, that the way the writers are kind of doing it right now is that they're almost like focusing like entire episodes on maybe one or two people, or storylines, if you will. Yeah, that's making me a little annoyed. That, the green screens, but whatever. Okay, so beginning of the week, we saw in the Newman clan where they were trying to find Claire. So Cole and Victoria, they go to the rusty, dusty motel room that Jordan had little Harrison captive in. I'm telling you, I don't even know if I'm going to get through this. But again, rusty, dusty motel. And they end up finding one of those little creepy dolls. The creepy doll that Jordan had for Nikki. I don't get it, people. So you're trying to tell me, because they feel that the GCPD, which they're all in their rights, because the GCPD has not done a single solitary thing for years. They, walk around like they're doing something, they kind of pop in on the scene from time to time, but other than that, they don't really do anything. It's always Victor and his security team. And then Michael will pop in and he'll solve a crime. So they go back to this motel room in the hopes that, something was missed. So you mean to tell me that within this rusty, dusty motel, that the GCPD apparently combed through the entire room, that somehow they missed this one creepy looking doll that just happened to be, almost like at a 45-degree angle on a top shelf, which, mind you, the door was open that you could clearly see the doll. Cole and Victoria find this thing. I'm not buying it, people. writers, do better. Okay, so they pick up this doll, and Cole's like, wait a minute, I feel something at the back of the doll. Well, of course you do, Cole. Of course you do. And lo and behold, it just happened to be a set of what, 3 keys? I don't recall, like at the ending of the week, if it had the number tag on it, 23, but it doesn't matter. The set of keys had also a number tag, number 23, I believe, for what Victoria now feels is a storage facility that Billy used to have from way back when. Okay, do you remember Billy having a storage facility? Like, why would he need a storage facility? I'm confused. They lived in like a big house. They didn't have enough storage? Oh, there's so many unanswered questions, so many holes in this whole thing. But again, it's soap opera land. I guess they think we're a little cray-cray where we don't notice these things or don't realize these things. I don't know. But okay, let's move along. So Victoria is like, bing, wait a minute. I think those keys look familiar. Again, she ends up talking about this storage facility that, or storage locker that Billy used to have years ago, and little Katie used to play with the keys. And they look just like the ones from the storage facility. So Cole's like, what? I would have been the same thing. What? And so she's like, I'm going to call Billy. Yeah, Billy, you remember the storage facility you had? Can you text me the address? I'm assuming he was like, why? Yeah, remember those keys that little Katie used to play with, like that you had? So she's like, Cole, I think that if anything, might be a long shot, but Claire could be in number 23. I'm so annoyed. Like, let me just get through this because it's just, I could just feel like a bubbling stew in the back of my neck over this nonsense. Okay, so push forward. Victoria calls up Victor and basically is like, Daddy, I think we may have a lead. Oh no, she didn't call. I think it was Cole. Sorry, Cole called and was like, Victor, we might have a lead. Victoria saw some keys in one of the creepy dolls that my aunt or that my mom used to have, and she thinks it might be to a storage facility, and she thinks we might be able to find Claire there. And Victor is sitting in his, almighty chair. Michael is kind of on standby there, and Victor's like, excuse me. Victor's like, yeah, I'm so happy to hear. If I will send my security team. Well, these poor security team have been like pew, 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 all over the place, haven't they? Okay. So they end up at the storage facility, and I had to laugh. Cole's like, I'm going to check and see if there's like basically like booby traps. And Victoria's like, oh, I'm scared, Cole. I'm scared. So Cole's like, what was that? All clear. Oh, okay. So now you're like some, bomb expert, like with detonation. Okay, Cole. I thought you were a writer. Like, so they open up the storage locker, and it is pitch black. Pitch black. But then Victoria's like, Claire? Claire, are you in here? Claire? Mom, I'm in here. Mom. Just then, bing goes the light. Where was the light switch? I'm so confused. Oh. Well, they find Claire on the ground. I wish I could reenact this for you. However, she's sitting there going, "Get her off me, get her off me." All of us viewers want to know, who was this? Who was this dead woman that was on Claire? That they rolled her off and just like moseyed along. And Claire gets up. She's like, oh, oh. Claire, am I the only one that's still a little skeptical where she's concerned? I mean, I had like a few little, Grinch hearts kind of pumping, but I don't know. And I will get to as to why, but and the fact that I don't think I'm the only one. But who was this dead woman? What was she doing in the locker? I'm confused. And so they take Claire off and they're back to the house. But on their way back, Daddy, we found Claire. Oh, I'm so happy to hear. I'm so happy to hear. Michael, again, laying in wait. He hears Victor and his, wee. And Michael, instant smile. So they bring Claire back home. She's happy to be home, whatnot. Somewhere in the mix there, Victor had gone down to his little makeshift prison, in the wine cellar, where he's got like the nice leather chair sitting there and one little itty bitty table that I guess that's where he serves her food. Jordan food. Oh. And sits and watches her and has little conversations with her. And basically he's like, yeah, where's my granddaughter? And she's like, get me out of here. I'll take a new deal for whatever place. And he's like, yeah, that's not happening. She's like, look, why would I tell you? He's like, look, we already found the keys. And she's like, do you think I would be so sloppy to like leave keys hanging around? Oh no, it was in the doll and whatnot. I was just like, this is a very unnecessary conversation. If you had an inclination, or basically Cole had the inclination that they were going to be able to find her, what was your purpose, Victor, from going down to talk to her? Meanwhile, you had already been talking to Michael and was like, I'll be right back. And you go and ask Jordan these questions. And then you come back, he's like, where were you? I'm telling you, this whole storyline is off the chain. Okay, so Claire's home. Victor comes and, big hugs, whatnot. And Victoria's like, I think Claire is going to want to just go and rest in her bed. And, maybe another time she'll maybe feel like talking about what happened and whatnot. So Claire is like, no, I'm good. I can talk now. And so Victor's like, oh, well, have a seat. Go ahead. Now they're in the tack house at this point in time, Victoria's new old home. But okay. So Claire, she starts talking about, how she was chloroformed and how Jordan took her and Harrison. Once again, how did Jordan make this happen? I don't know. And here's where things get a little sketchy. So she basically talks about how this woman, the dead woman, was on her and she just couldn't get her off. Now Victor's like, he's even looking at her like, I don't know if I believe this story. He doesn't say it, but you could just see him sitting back in the chair going, something doesn't seem right here. And I'm like in my head going, right? Something just seems off. So she just goes on and on and on. And the more she's talking, it just seems like it's just a trifle on the far-fetched side. But again, Victor's like he's zoned in. And but don't lie to Victor, because Victor can spot it like that. Like poor little Dave, the delivery driver. Wonder if he got his $100,000, but whatever. So Claire finishes off her story and she's like, well, where's Jordan? And Victor's like, the bitch is dead. I'm like, oh, tell us how you really feel there, Victor. So I was like, wait, what? Yeah, she's gone. She's no longer a problem and what have you. Yeah, so that was pretty much the Claire, I guess, retrieval. We found her, yay. She wants to know how little Harrison's doing, and eventually throughout the week she goes to see Harrison. Harrison's like, Claire, wee! And yeah, so that, it's really not anything to talk too much about, but okay. I want to talk about, we'll leave them alone for now, but I want to talk about whichever Ashley there is. This is like, Southern Belle Ashley, who she ends up seeing the good doctor that came first class from Paris because Tracy and Jack got him a ticket. This psychologist, whatever, the friend, who I didn't think existed, but apparently he does. And he came into town, and basically Tracy was like, I'm so glad that you're here, and you can observe my sister. And he's like, well, I'm not practicing anymore, I'm retired, I don't have a license, and basically even if I did, like, I couldn't treat her because I don't treat friends. And yeah, they're like, no, we just want your opinion, that kind of thing. And then Tracy kind of was like, we don't know which Ashley we're gonna get. Well, clearly, because this Ashley, let's call her, I can't remember what her name was, but let's call her Southern Belle at this point. She is all for the good old doctor, because she is like, she's trying to get her little hooks into him and have like a little fun. But the doctor, I don't know, I don't think he's gonna fall for it. But anyway, at some point in time, they meet up at oh no, they met up at the Abbott estate, and then Ashley's like, oh, I'll take you out to lunch. The Southern Belle Ashley, I'll take you out to lunch. And he's like, yeah, you know what, I'm famished. Okay, follow me. And the two of them saunter off, and they go to what was it, the club? I don't think it was Crimson Lights, I think it was the club. And at some point in time, Jack shows up, and oh no, it was Society. That's right. I was trying to think of the surroundings. It was Society, and Jack shows up, and doctor's like, would you care to join us? And she's like, well, don't feel obligated. He's like, don't mind if I do. He sits down. They have their little conversation. And yeah, so Southern Belle Ashley very well knows that they're just trying to figure out her mental state. And that's what they brought the good doctor there for. Okay. Well, within this conversation, within the conversation, what happened? Oh, yes. The good doctor was like saying, why don't you tell the story of how we met? And she's like, no, you tell it. He goes, no, I think you'll do it more justice. And she's like, well, this is in her mind. Well, I didn't know I signed up for a pop quiz. Oh, this just gets funnier and funnier. Okay, so she basically says, well, we met here. And he's like, actually, it was here. And you were alone. He's like, actually, I was with so and so. And we were looking at this painting. And he was like, no, we were looking at that painting. And this thing just went back and forth like a ping pong match. And everything she said was incorrect. But in her mind, she played it off. Even Jack was like, okay. So yeah, push forward to the fact that she basically carries him, takes him to this hotel room. She basically wants to get, in with the good doctor. But he's like, look, I'm tired, whatnot. So eventually she leaves. Southern Belle Ashley. Jack had, was laying in wait, peeped around the corner to see if she was gone, knocked on the good doctor's door. They had a little convo. And yeah, doctor was kind of like, yeah, something just seems a little off. But, I'll know better the more I see her. That's basically what that was. Anyway, so Southern Belle Ashley goes home and she's like, well, I want some tequila or something like that. What kind of bar is this? And she's like, this is no bar. So she pours, I guess it was maybe some, it could have been whiskey. I don't think, it wasn't brandy. I don't think, she didn't have a brandy goblet. And I should know. I know my stemware. But anyway, so she ends up pouring herself a little drinky drink. And then she gets startled by the other Ashley, the one who basically wants to take Tucker down. And the evil Ashley. And she's like sitting in the chair with a handcuff on and was like, you're so stupid. I can't believe that you almost got caught with whatever you said about, you meeting with the doctor and whatnot. And she's like, oh, I played it off very well. She's like, you idiot. Like, they're just trying to, test you on your mental state. And you just fell for it. And then she's like, well, there's nothing you can do about it. And then next thing you know, pushing forward, evil Ashley's like, I'm getting stronger every day. And then next thing you know, her body has now entered into Southern Belle Ashley's body, like just the whole mindset. And you could see that there was a switch. And so she pulls off her whatever that was in her hair. It was like a scarf or something, a red scarf. She pulls it off and she's like, obviously, I have to do everything by myself. And then you pan over and you see that she's out of the handcuffs. Okay, well, that's fine and dandy. Hold on, wait a minute. Just as a complete aside, I'm hearing a lot of rain outside my window. So if you can hear it, sorry about that. That's Mother Nature for you. Anyway, I'm like, what is this? It didn't even call for rain today. But whatever. It's the show. This is what happens. It is what it is. All right. So are we finished with Ashley? Because she was straight up cray-cray. Okay. We didn't see, these are like some side notes. We didn't see anything to do with Connor and Chelsea and Adam. That was laying in rest. Um, we did see Nate and Devon, a little bit of do-gooder Chance, who, by the way, looked pretty good in his little suit. I will say that. The suit looked nice on him. I'll give him that. You know, you got to give flowers where flowers are due, right? Billy and Abby, the whole thing. Like, that whole Chancellor Winters thing can be surmised in, a few words. Holy mess. Just a mess. At this point, and I'm just going to really give you like the brief Cole's Notes version. At this point, Devon wants to get Billy out of the company. Like, later, see ya. Don't come back. Don't let the door hit you on the butt. And he wants to recruit Nate to, help him. They're at the jazz lounge having a conversation about this, and in walks Do-Gooder Chance. My question is, why do you guys feel like you need to have these really important private conversations out in the open where everybody can hear? So I'm like, okay, well that was a disaster. But Devon's like, look, I really don't care if Billy hears that. You can go, Chance, you can go back and tell Billy what I said. I don't really care. Like, meanwhile, Billy is having a conversation with Abby, and Abby is going on about, like, how do I get two of my favorite guys to work together? And Billy's like, well, since I came in, have I kind of shaken things up a little bit? Yeah, maybe. But, Devon is like, he wants complete autonomy. And Abby's like, well, you pretty much want the same thing. And he's like, look, I just want, whatever is due for my mom. And that whole, it just gives me a royal headache. Royal headache. Here's how I look at this situation, because we don't need to really like fine tooth comb this whole thing throughout this week with Devon and all that nonsense. Devon, get a hold of yourself. Get a grip on reality. Billy, get a hold of yourself and you get a grip on reality. Okay. Billy, I don't know what you're doing there. You were only there as an interim. Just leave. In my opinion. Stop trying to cause a big mess where there doesn't need to be a big mess. But on the same token, Devon, take it down a few notches. And let me just add, Lily, you need to get it together, girl, because you and your little self, but you're still reeling over Daniel and what he did. And I'm not saying that what he did was right. Far, far, far from it. Just give him what he wants and move on. Everybody just move on. Chance, you don't want to get in the middle? Don't get in the middle. Like, enough of this. No work is happening because all you guys are doing is fighting against one another. Enough is enough. Like, oh my goodness. Like, that whole storyline needs to just fizzle out with a quickness. And that's not even what annoyed me. Here's what annoyed me. That whole episode of Jack and Nikki, I could have done without that. Because that was just ludicrous. I mean, I called up my friend. I was like, look, this has got to be one of the dumbest things I have ever seen. I am so annoyed. Like, to the point where I felt like I could pitch something at the screen. Are we going to really go through this again? Here's some predictions. Now, none of them may come true. None of them. But I'm still going to put it out there into the atmosphere. Somehow, Nikki and Jack will end up together at some point in time. And Victor is going to go right back to, I'm done with you, Nikki. You want Jack Abbott? Go ahead. And Diane's going to be left in the cold. And yeah. Because this was a piece of nonsense if I've ever seen. So Nikki, she is in the hotel room getting sloshed, like piss drunk, with the plastic bottle of vodka, which she, at some point, the one she had ended up being empty, and she pitches it, all your bing, bling, bing, bing. I was expecting a glass, but okay, whatever. Even in her dream with Victor, Nicholas, and Victoria, when they were so angry at her, like, what are you doing here? This was Nikki's dream. Nicholas had a bottle and was like, we're so sick and tired of this. And he pitches the bottle, again, plastic, bing, bling, bing, bing. That's all you hear. I'm like, oh. So Nikki is slosh drunk. She's like, imitating Victor. And she's like, I need to call Jack. Eventually, she stumbles out of the room. Jack happens to be around the corner. What he was doing around the corner, I don't know. So she's like, no. She's like, well, that was dramatic. And then she, runs into the room, and somehow Jack, he was right there. He has to now, like, push down the door, and was like, and she's pushing the door to not let him come in. Okay, Nikki, you're like this small in comparison to Jack. And Jack, you're telling me that she had that much strength where you had to be fighting to get in? You could have just been like, and the door would have opened. Like, are you kidding me? And he's like, don't make me do this, Nikki. Okay, fine. Come on in. The place is a mess at the hotel room, and yeah. Let's just push right along. Oh, there was one part. I don't know if anybody caught it, but I caught it. Within that same ridiculous episode, Nikki says something to the effect to Jack, what are you? You playing a doctor now? And I laughed because if you recall anybody, he used to play a doctor, Cliff, was it Cliff Warner? On All My Children for years before he became Jack Abbott. Because if you recall, Terry Lester, rest his soul, who I loved as Jack back in the day, he had played the original Jack, and then eventually, because I think they've only had two Jacks, if I recall correctly, it was Terry Lester and now the current Jack, who's been playing Jack for many, many, many years. But he used to be on All My Children playing a doctor, so I had to laugh. I was like, oh. Not too many people would have caught that. I did. Okay. So, push forward. Jack is trying everything within his power to get Nikki to see the light and stop her drinking. And she's like she is not hearing it. Okay. It got so bad that Jack ends up calling up his dealer Why you still have the number in your phone is beyond me. The dealer who he used to get opioids from. He's like, oh, so and so, it's Jack. And yeah, long time no hear. Oh, okay. So yeah, you still have the stuff? Yeah. Okay, I need you to deliver it to room da 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 at the athletic club or whatever. I was just like, what? Jack starts popping these prescription, or I don't know if they're prescription, but these drugs anyway, and mixes it with alcohol. Nikki's like, "What are you doing?" In her, even in her drunken stupor, "What are you doing? Like, are you crazy? You can't have that with alcohol." Well, he shouldn't be having that, period, Nikki. Well, it got so bad that Jack ends up passing out. She ends up having to call the paramedics, and they basically said, you know what? If you didn't contact us, the outcome would have been different. He'll be fine, but we had to give him some other drugs to combat whatever he took, and he is flat out passed out. Just a disaster, people. It was a disaster. Let's get through this. So Victor ends up coming to the hotel room. This is after he tried contacting Nikki like 3 times and he can't get her. But apparently his security detail saw her go to the hotel, and maybe, I think he said even the hotel room. So he ends up there. He sees Jack and Nikki holding hands, mind you, and he slams the door. What's going on in here? Well, Jack basically says, nothing is Nikki's fault. It's my fault. And your wife saved my life. Victor's like, I wouldn't have saved it, but okay, like, whatever. And Jack's like, okay. Yeah. Jack goes home. Kyle's like, what the dickens? And like, you all right, Dad? Of course, he looks disheveled, and he just looks a mess. And then Victor takes Nikki home, and of course she looks a mess, still in that nice pink suit, but she still looks a mess. Her hair is a little is frazzled. Her blouse is coming out of her pants here and there, just a mess. And she was like, yeah, I tried to help Jack, and he was trying to help me, and now he scared her straight. She's going to go to rehab. She's going to pack a bag and go to rehab. Well, Victor's trying to hold in his disgust, but eventually Victor ends up at Jack's place. Ding dong goes the bell. Jack opens the door. He's like, I'm only going to say this one time. Stay away from my wife. Victor saunters off, and that's the end of that story. Okay, I think we did have like a few little moments with Phyllis and Nick, who I still think they may dipsy doodle at some point in time together. I really would prefer that he ends up dipsy doodling with Lily, but that might have to take a bit of a backseat. Just saying. All right, so yeah, we saw a little bit of Phyllis and Nick. Summer saw, she saw Claire with Harrison, and Summer is just like, yeah, no, I'm still feel the same way about her, whatever, and it is what it is. So poor little Harrison may not get a nanny after all, because Summer claims she's going to stay with him. Okay. Yeah. Let's see. Okay, so we talked about uh, Harrison. We talked about Claire, Nikki, and Jack. That ridiculous episode that I could have done without seeing. Oh, what's left to talk about? Did we cover everything? Oh, by the way, at some point throughout this episode or this week, we saw Lauren with Michael. They were at the club, and Lauren was talking about Sheila and the fact that Sheila's allegedly dead. Are we gonna do a crossover? Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. What do you think about Sheila and Jordan somehow coming together? Oh, now that I would watch. That I would watch. But right now, Victor has Jordan still locked up in his makeshift jail, and he gives her a big bottle of vodka and basically tells her to drown her life in the bottle, just the way that she did with Nikki. And yeah. So I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen, but you see that? Because I didn't hear anything about that. I mean, I know she's on Bold and Beautiful, but is she still on there? I believe so. But I don't know. Like, I haven't watched Bold and Beautiful for a long time. Yeah, so if anybody knows anything concerning that, can you put in the comments and let me know? Because I was just like, Sheila. I didn't hear any mention of Sheila throughout the week until that point. And now that I'm thinking, I would actually want to see those two come together and start like a whole set of mess. That would be great for May sweeps. Just saying. So I think we've covered everybody. I think so. Let me just make sure. Claire, Harrison, Nikki, yeah, Ashley, and yeah. So again, if I happen to have missed somebody or something, it very well could be that at this point, I just plumb forgot. And maybe it just really wasn't that newsworthy. Or maybe I just completely blocked the whole thing out of my mind. I have no idea. But if you have stuck around to the end of this video, you know I care and I love you lots, and I really appreciate your support. And don't forget, if you like this type of content, you like what you see, you like what you hear, feel free to hit that like and subscribe button and put it out into the YouTube algorithm so that other people can just revel in my craziness. So there you have it, folks. I will see what happens, see if I happen to miss something, and if I did, then I may mention it on the next episode, but if not, it is what it is. So you take care, guys. I will catch you on the next video. Bye.